Hi, Rick DiClemente here with Astrology Unplugged. Welcome again. Tonight we'll be talking some more about astrology. It's a subject that I have often thought about, is the astrology charts of people who have left their body. And I check a lot of people. For instance, when they had the February 14th massacre at Stoneman Douglas School, I immediately, within minutes, was looking at Harriet Stoneman Douglas's natal chart and what was going on in her chart. She had left not too much earlier, but what you see is, you see that people who passed on, their charts live on, because your chart is just a moment in time. So we're going to talk about that tonight, and I've selected about 10 people. My computer died yesterday, so I'm using my girlfriend's, and I hope I push all the right buttons here. Welcome, everybody. Okay, starting off with a wonderful statement that I saw on Facebook about a month ago. Somebody, I want you to listen very closely to this, from Eckhart Tolle, who said, "You are not the universe." No, I'm sorry. You are not in the universe. This is very quantum. You are not in the universe. You are the universe. And an intrinsic part of it. Ultimately, you are not a person, but a focal point where the universe is becoming aware of itself. A focal point where the universe is becoming aware of itself. And he says that's an amazing miracle. And it just surprised me, because I ended the book that I wrote, The Exquisite Zodiac, ends with the following sentence: "You are the emissary of the nature of the moment in which you were born." These are some hard things to grasp at first. For whatever reason, I think we're getting past this sooner or later, but what we are is we're so used to being identified as you and me in different bodies, and we're really not, it's really not who we are. We're really much more than that. So by studying dead people, by studying people who've passed on, by studying their charts and comparing with planets now, you'll see some remarkable things. I don't know what else to tell you. You can read all the books you want to. You got to do charts. Do charts, do charts, do charts. I do charts to everybody. Garbage man, sewer man, congressman, they're kind of similar. I don't know why we're paying people to go to Congress. Why are we paying these people salary? Why are we paying an electricity bill? Nobody wants to do anything. Anyhow, I did. Now, I don't want you women beating up on me, because I looked really hard for females who had passed on, who were famous for whatever reason. I had a very difficult time, and I ended up with 8 men and 1 woman. So don't send me dirty mail, because I really did try. Okay, I found some very interesting people, and it's really fascinating. The first one I'm going to start with. By the way, you folks watching on YouTube, if you ever want to join us on a Thursday night at 8 o'clock, just simply get a camera connected to your PC, Eastern Time, 8 o'clock. Get yourself to Google and type in Astrology Unplugged, and it will take you to the link to join us for free. We always put this videotape of tonight's session, we mount it on my Rick DiClemente page on YouTube on Fridays. So they're all up there. Tonight's episode 127. Okay, now you'll be stunned to see this. In the chart, not of Freddie Mercury, but in the chart of Leonardo da Vinci. I want you to notice something. First of all, Da Vinci was born Da Vinci was born on April 14th, but he was not an Aries because he was born before the Gregorian calendar shifted. And in 1500 and something, I forget the year, 1500 and something, the astronomers got with the Pope and said, this leap year thing that we're doing is keeping us nice and fine, but in the long scheme of things, we have to omit 9 days from the calendar. So this particular year, if you tell me you're born October 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, I know you're lying because there was none. They skipped 9 days in October in 1500 and something. And whatever ended up happening was Da Vinci ended up being a Taurus, which really blew my mind. But if you read his life story and how much time and energy he spent with sculpting and with materials and searching in the mud and searching in cement and searching for different kinds of things to make paints out of, this guy was just endless. He just never stopped. You can see very much why he was so Taurian. But I'm starting with the most mind-blowing thing that I could even think of. Look at this in his chart, in Da Vinci's chart. Okay. Da Vinci was born in 1452 in a town called Vinci, right to the east of Florence. It takes Eris about 540 some years to go around the circle. Now, before we discovered it in 2005, 2006, 2005, when he was born, here's Eris. When Eris returned in his chart, the Da Vinci Code was made into a movie. When he was born, it was almost 540 years later that we discovered Eris in 2005, which is when Pluto got demoted, 2006. And around the same time that Eris returned, the Da Vinci Code movie was made. You see this stuff all the time in astrology. If you're not looking for it, you're not going to see it. Now, I'm going to tell you some things through experience. When you see one of the real tricks in astrology is not to fall prey to all the books making it sound simple. For instance, say you're in a family of 9 kids and your mother dies. Eight people in the family, or 8 of the kids are just torn up emotionally. You see it in their chart. The 9th one, there's nothing happening in their chart. Because the kid didn't care. Whatever reason, we're not judging the kid. One kid took it one way, one kid took it another way, one took it financially, one took it emotionally, one took it as far as their past life. You just don't know. Everybody's here experiencing things at different levels. So that's why when you see something happen, it's so common in astrology. Well, the guy wrecked his car, you go look in the house that rules cars, you see nothing happen. You have to be very, very flexible. You got to have a real short memory. Just forget about it and keep moving on. But that is a remarkable fact that Da Vinci is directly related to Eris. He has to be. If Eris is making it on, of course Eris has been around, we don't know, several billion years, several 100 million years, I don't know. Several 100 million years. Of course, with past planets that we say their effect is not real until they're discovered, that's true and it's not true. You'll see plenty of very famous people that were vibrating to those planets. We talked about this last week. Some people are picking up the planet's energy before it's even consciously in the collective yet. And I think that's very much where Da Vinci was getting a lot of his insight Now, it doesn't just happen by magic or at the fish pond. Put a nickel in and you pull up the bag. It's got to have lines in the chart geometrically that line up with you to make it make sense. You just don't have phenomenal people. And like I said, I forget where I read it, and one of the computer analyses is that supposedly Da Vinci had the highest IQ in history. Einstein's about 190. Da Vinci was around 209. There are a couple people in that up above those clouds like that. You're going to, Da Vinci is a Taurus. Taurus especially is the sign that does not look up. Does not look up into the heavens. Da Vinci was very much known for very much working. He kept doing sculpture, he kept doing drawings. He was obsessed with stuff. He was very earthy, but at the same time, like with Tesla, he had the trines to the outer planets. And that's what you have to examine. The trine from Saturn to Mars, the grand trine from Mars over to Chiron and Gemini. The Chiron and Gemini makes great sense for him because it's somebody who's experimenting all the time. Let me try this, let me try this, let me try that, let me try that. And he's got it in sync with Saturn and Mars. He's got a beautiful trine from Neptune to Venus. And you want to look at the orb, it's very important. Look at the Mars-Saturn, 1 degree off. The Venus-Neptune, 6 degrees off. So he's got 4 major trines in this chart, and you have to have major connections to the outer planets to come up with big ideas. Usually you have to have a very strong Uranus, because that's the planet of great invention. Here we see Uranus is sextile to Venus. We see Pluto, although it wasn't discovered till 1930, Pluto is square to the Sun. But you would have to do a lot of studying to really see the magic in this chart, and I just don't have the time. The chart is ruled by Sagittarius, so his Jupiter is the ruler of the chart. It's in really good placement. It's co-ruler of Pisces, and it's right next to his moon in Pisces. So it's a beautiful Jupiter-Moon conjunction. Okay, what you find when you study somebody like this is you find everything is perfect. I mean, you have to really study it, not just flip it on the screen. Really study the decadence and all the sub-histories of astrology, all these other types of progressions and all. His chart is perfect. And when Eris returned, Tom Hanks got the role. And that did a lot for bringing Da Vinci into the modern mindset, the collective mind. That's when I picked up the book and read his life story, even though the movie's a little hokey-pokey Hollywood. Okay, let's go on. Let's go to Dorothy Vaughan, a woman you may have heard of. She was a West Virginian. She was born in Missouri. She moved to Morgantown, West Virginia, and she was one of the famous women in the movie about NASA, where she was an African-American woman, and she did a lot of the heavy calculation for NASA by hand. Okay, she was in the movie 3 years ago called Hidden Figures. Known for her brilliance, and they had to rely on her for some really heavy-duty things in the early 60s because the computers weren't that good. And she was coming up with the trajectories of the arcs of the traveling space capsules, etc. So she had an amazing chart, and whenever you see somebody that's exacting, you always want to consider, is there Virgo? And here you see Sun, Venus, Mars in Virgo. The Mercury is in Libra. She's got a Grand Cross. So there you go, people that read these stories about Grand Crosses and how awful they are. Some of the most famous people in history, the most successful people ever, had gray crosses. Because there's so much tension in the personality that the personality has to work really hard just to survive, and it makes that mind extra sharp, and it gives the person extra oomph. So she was one of the heroes in the NASA experiment. Well, what I found with her was in 2016, the movie Hidden Figures came out. And we're going to, I'm using this little tiny computer here. We're going to superimpose 2016, I don't know what month it was. Okay. No, it keeps doing it to me. 2016. Okay. So now we're seeing the outer planets in 2016. Here's this obscure West Virginian African-American woman working for NASA with a pencil.
Can you update, please, your page?
Yeah, I think you're probably right there. Okay, are you seeing it now? Yes, that's right. Okay, now the one thing I would want to see with a Virgo like this is what's going on with her Mercury. Remember, she's born in 1910. The movie comes out in 2016. Okay, so I don't know what year she died, but the movie comes out at her 106th birthday. And I'm looking to see Mercury, and I'm not seeing a lot with Mercury, but what did I see? Look at how remarkable this is. Chiron was on Aries. Okay? Chiron was on Aries. We had only known about Aries for 10 years, and this is the one that triggered the movie. And the reason why, who wants to guess why Chiron, the ruler of Virgo in my mind, on Aries, why Chiron and Aries was such a big deal? Remember, all these people I'm picking came to us for a reason. Why did Chiron on Aries bring her to the forefront? She was on all these magazines, all these talk shows about these three women in West Virginia and what they did. Why would that combine? Anybody got an idea?
Women's liberation and empowerment.
Exactly. Say, you cocky man, look what this woman did. What a pencil. And that wonderful movie, The Help, the same actress is in that, where it was a movie about slavery and all, but it started to empower women. And we started to, this empowerment of women is not going to take place overnight. It's not going to start in 2006. It's something that started 50, 60 years ago. Yeah, go ahead, Suzanne. I'm going to unmute. Yeah.
I wonder if it also has something to do with the African American empowerment as well in this country.
Oh, sure.
Because Aries is all about speaking truth to power and things like that.
Oh, I think you're absolutely right. Yep.
The wound, and Chiron is the wound. You know, it's hitting the wound of the women and the abuse and everything else that's happened for so many years.
It's all coming out. Thank God for Aries, but Aries is kind of like, you remember how I told you that the Pluto era is get rid of your pony and now you got to ride on the stallion? Well, what we got now is a bucking horse. That's what we got now. We don't have just the stallion. We got a horse that's really hard to control. And that's one of the reasons that so many people are looking for somebody to blame. And that's not the answer. But anyhow, I thought that was really fascinating that we mixed Chiron with Aries, and out comes that movie. Okay, we're going to go to the one that started all this, where Elke suggested to me to take a look at the chart of Freddie Mercury, another Virgo. Okay, born in Zanzibar or Tanzania. Okay, let me get his chart up here. Let's look at Freddie Mercury with a phenomenal talent. what I would do with Freddie is look at his fifth harmonic to see where his real talent came out. I was reading about how he wrote his famous song, Bohemian Rhapsody. It was just another piece of a song to him at the time he wrote it. Massive talent. Okay, first of all, what we see at the time that that song came out, which you must admit was the peak of that band. Let's take a look at what was going on. I'm trying with my little computer here. Okay. Okay, we want to take a look around the time the song came out, which was last year, 2018, the time the movie came out. Okay. Let me get this right. The song came out when he was having his second Saturn return. Okay? Saturn was back here on Saturn when the song came out. The movie came out, and a lot of times you're not going to find it in the natal chart. And what I did is I looked at his 10th harmonic. The 10th harmonic is the harmonic that has to do with your social status. So when we look at Freddie's 10th harmonic, and this will really help you when you get stuck. Okay, and this is a year ago. What we saw was Neptune was making a T-square to okay. I'm looking for transiting Neptune, making a T-square. I got my notes wrong. Making a T-square. Jupiter. Here's the Neptune. Here's the natal Neptune. You got the, there it is. Then the transiting Neptune, which is filmmaking. Okay? Interested in photography, interested in movies. The natal Neptune was making a T-square with the Neptune-Jupiter opposition.
We can't see the chart, Rick.
You know what? It's
frozen.
I know it's going round and round. Let me try it again. Let's try this again. Okay. You see the transiting Neptune, 13, the natal Neptune, 13, the natal Jupiter, 20. Okay? So what this does is it puts him on the stage. Now, if you want to know about Neptune, you read the book by Liz Green called Neptune. And she makes a very clear argument about Neptune being the planet of glory, going on the stage, the big lights on you, because it's very closely lined up with being unreal, the unreality of spirit. Neptune ultimately is spirit, but Neptune is about glamour. So just like you saw glam rock coming out with Bowie, I mean, you saw glam rock in another way come out of Freddie Mercury. His arena compositions that were bigger than life. We are the champions. This was a very big soul. This certainly was not a Virgo expression. But when you saw the Jupiter-Neptune, square by Neptune, what's Jupiter-Neptune? I've told you so many times. When the Jupiter-Neptune is close or trine, it's a very healthy expression of interest in God or spirit. When it's opposite or square, there's a real tendency to go off the deep end, to go into a cult. You got to watch it. Is it real or not? So, in other words, when you watch Wayne's World and you watch these goofs in the back seat singing Bohemian Rhapsody, this was their God. Freddie was their God. I mean, of course, it was a comedy, but tongue-in-cheek. It was God-like. And you can see at the basis of that song is something that's reaching out. Very much called by the Neptune T-square. Here's the Jupiter-Neptune. And what I hear with that aspect is, I don't even care if it's real. It feels so spiritual to me. That's what the Neptune says to me. You got a Jupiter-Neptune opposition making a T-square to Neptune? I don't even care if it's real. It feels so right. But that's these people that go through monumental events like that have to have major constructs with the outer planets. And that's why we had to look into the harmonic, as it wasn't in the natal. And the 10th harmonic is the harmonic of Capricorn. It's the 10th sign. It's you on top of the world. I mean, you saw him when he sang. Wasn't he always like this? He was just elated, regal, fascinating. Next person, step up. Who we got? Marjorie Stoneman Douglas. That one had me tricked there for a minute. Okay, so Marjorie Stoneman Douglas. The massacre was on 2/14, a year ago, 2018. You see, she was, when you heard all the talk about her, and she lived down the street from the school, and everybody that walked to school would always stop and wave hi to her. She was the ultimate friend to this school, and she funded it. And you see that coming about with the Aries innocence and the Aries sun opposite Uranus, being very, very friendly, and the T-square coming over to Chiron and Cancer. She's very much into people and supporting young children. She's got three, well, not planets, but three bodies in Gemini. So you see that she was very much pro-education. And when we animate the chart and we put the bi-wheel on the outside of 2/14 to 18, what we see, let me repaint it, make sure you see it. Okay. All right. There's the chart of the massacre on the outside. There's her chart in the middle. You see that Uranus and Aries has just passed over her sun. They're 22 degrees. Hers is 17. Pluto. No. Uranus is right on. Uranus is right opposite Uranus. Uranus is right opposite Uranus. Uranus is opposite. I have my notes wrong. I have my note on this one wrong. Okay, let's take a look here. So you see this passing by, and what has just passed by, these are not lined up by eyeball, but you have to line them up by number. Eris is at 22. Eris has just gone over her sun. She had a Mars return. All that did, Mars being the trigger, almost exact, all that did was predict the hour of the event. Pluto was sitting opposite of Eris, or opposite of Chiron. And I want to look at her 12th harmonic. I want to see what happened in her 12th, because it was certainly a sad day, a sad situation. I don't know why this is doing this. Okay, let's go to Marjorie. Let's go to her harmonics. Let's go to her 12th. Okay, now we'll put the planets on the outer wheel of 2, 14, 18. No. 2, 0, 18. Okay, so now we're looking at the event on top of her 12th harmonic. We see Uranus right opposite the moon. The shattering of Uranus opposite the moon. We've just passed over Eris. So in a way, you could see that this could have happened like a couple months before this event. Uranus even conjuncting with Eris in Aries, which is gunshots, was the promise of such a disaster. I'm going to have to double check my notes here. I had some trouble with that one. Alexander Hamilton. Interesting. Why is his play so popular right now? Okay, you see everybody's dying to get to the stage play. Hamilton. We see that he was actually born in the West Indies. This is close, but not exactly right, because I couldn't find the town. 4 planets in Capricorn. Chiron exactly with Pluto. Now, does this sound like somebody that had a lot to do with early government, forming of the country? Chiron and Pluto are exactly at the same degree.
It's Eris and Pluto.
Eris and Pluto. I still got to get these symbols straight in my mouth. Yeah, they're very tough. Eris and Pluto. You know, isn't it interesting that these two planets are now square? These two planets, which were conjunct in 1757, takes Eris 540 years. They're opening square, 2017 or whenever they play at the screen. Pluto's on the sun. You're having a Jupiter. We were having a Jupiter return. So if we take Hamilton's chart and we put the bi-wheel on and we go to let's just go 2016, because the Hamilton thing became bigger and bigger. Okay, we go to, okay, there you go. We go to 2018. And now you see the Jupiter return is taking place, which is certainly not strong enough to cause this type of thing, but it helps. It's more of a monthly type of thing, Jupiter. But what we're seeing Pluto's on the sun. Pluto's at 21 degrees, exactly on the sun, just passing Chiron. Pluto's on the sun. And Neptune is right on Uranus. When you have these kind of big ones, that's what stirs him up from his sleep. Pluto on the sun, which he would get every 250 years, which is about his first one then. In his lifetime, where did Pluto go? His lifetime, Pluto started here, hit him when he was young, about 13, didn't come back till now. Pluto right on the sun. So not only is Neptune on the Uranus taking it to the stage, but one of the things that would happen with Pluto on the sun is some negative things about him might come out. You know, you can't hide from Pluto. So don't be surprised if some critical issues came out around the same time that the stage play, the musical happened. Okay, let's take a look. Who we got next? David Helfgott. Who remembers David Helfgott? Y'all remember the movie Shine? And the guy who he was Australian, brilliant, he must have been Asperger's, brilliant pianist with a very, very cruel father who really drove him into the insane asylum by pressuring this kid. Very mean father, and the kid was a prodigy. He was a genius pianist, and he's the one that made Jeffrey Rush famous. Got the Academy Award playing that part in the movie Shine. His name is David Helfgott. I believe he's still alive. You can see in his chart that Helfgott is a Taurus, and that a double Taurus at that. Thank God for that. That's probably what kept him sane as he could be, because he was institutionalized many times. He had a lot of talent. He did have Gemini planets, and you got Mercury Gemini, Gemini rising, Uranus in Gemini. It doesn't take a lot of Gemini stuff for the personality to start losing control. So his movie brought him out of obscurity totally in the year 1997. So let's just pick a summer day in 97 and take a look at how it works with him. I can't get this to 1997. Okay, so here we got the birth chart. Pluto's opposite the sun. Pluto had just opposed the sun. Pluto has just opposed Mercury, him being a Gemini. And a guy who's this sensitive, you know, all this period of Pluto sitting here 5, 6 degrees before it, 10 degrees before it, he's going to start picking this up. And what this is going to feel like to him is just added mounting pressure. But what puts him on a political, you know what I was thinking? One of the things that could have happened because of this movie is this could have been the birth of the collective becoming more aware of autism. When you look at 1997, it could be autism, Asperger's got on the collective scene because of this film. If you're not ready, don't watch this film, because this guy butchers him. His father is extremely cruel to him. And he makes it through, and he does large audience piano performances in his recording cell, and he becomes quite famous. Another thing I saw on the chart in 1997. Okay. I saw Neptune, transiting Neptune, transiting Neptune at 29. Look at his Venus-Mars, 28.5. See the Venus-Mars? Square right to Neptune. Okay, you're always, if it's going to have a big impact, you're always going to have pressure from Pluto, Aries, Chiron, Neptune, Uranus. It's going to be the outer mamas, because that's what does it. Let's take a look who's next. All right. John Nash. Who remembers who John Nash was? Anybody? Okay, tell us, Suzanne. Erica can't seem to get sound. I'm sorry, honey. I don't know why. Suzanne, who was John Nash?
Must be still Nash and Young.
Huh?
Wasn't that the musician?
No, this is John Nash from Southern West Virginia.
Oh.
Amazing, we got another West Virginian. Do you remember the movie called It's a Beautiful Mind?
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
Where he was another Asperger's type. He was a super mathematician, and he was brought to fame through the screen. And, what's that actor's name that played his part and won the Academy Award for it?
Was it Leonardo DiCaprio?
Hey, you're warm, but it's not him. I can't remember his name. Anyhow, A Beautiful Mind was the name of the movie. If you ever watched it, her volume was off. Good. That's the first thing you got to check. Anyhow, he became noted for how brilliant he was, and he had solved some mathematical problems that heretofore were unsolvable. And here he was, this rather simple man. I can't remember the actor's name.
Russell Crowe.
Thank you, dear. Russell Crowe. I am getting old, and you're getting younger. Okay. Okay. Let's take John Nash's chart, and let's put the experience of the movie coming out, which was 2001. Okay, so there's your outer planets, 2001. Let me repaint it. Okay, there's the outer planets approximately sometime in 2001. Ignore the inner planets. We see Pluto's right on Saturn. This is absolutely crushing. You don't need to look at anything else. Pluto is right on Saturn, and take a look at his natal chart. I'm having trouble with this screen. All right, one more time. Okay, so you see the bucket pattern. The guy's already suffering from schizophrenia, and you're struggling from schizophrenia, and you got one Saturn here by itself in a bucket pattern to show you how powerful bucket patterns are, and it's in Sagittarius, and along comes Pluto. So it showed how his wife stuck with him through the good and the bad, and with medication he survived. But you can see that the brilliance came from the natal conjunction of the Mercury 6 degrees from Pluto, which gave him the ability to look right through things, gave him tremendous mental perception, the Taurus energy, which kept him persisting, the Virgo energy. But we would have to study him deeper. But we do find what's so fascinating is the main planet in the chart, Saturn, has Pluto on it, right when he gets exposed to the whole world. Russell Crowe, thank you very much. Now, Let's go look up some other good ones. Oscar Schindler. You all know what that's about. Oscar Schindler. Born in Czechoslovakia. So what made him such a humanist? Being a Taurus. Talk about stretching his neck out, saving thousands of Jews. He's got 3 planets in Aries. That made him kind of ballsy. The Uranus is very strong. Let's take a look at that. It's about 17 degrees. The Uranus is opposite Neptune. Well, you've got 2 very idealistic planets. A Taurus is not going to stick their neck out to do what he did. But one with aspects between Neptune and Uranus, you don't get any more idealistic than these 2. And the T-square goes where? 16, 17, 12. It goes to where? It goes widely to his moon and somewhat to his Mercury. So this moon is greatly impacted in the 9th house in Aries from this. And I would greatly think that the harmonics are going to show, like his 6th harmonic is going to show his purpose in life. Let's take a look at that just to see. What is the 6th harmonic, which is his life purpose? What does his 6th harmonic have to say about him? Because he obviously picked up the 6th harmonic in order to do what he did to risk his neck. All right, there's your 6th harmonic. We see 3 planets in Leo rising. We see the ballsy Aries planets at the top. We see the moon at the top. Okay, so he's got very spiritual basis for what he does. Let's try, I've not even looked at this. Let's try the 1993 movie called Schindler's List. Let's stop this. Quit this one. I'm getting so many different charts. Too many charts open. Schindler. Okay. Okay, very good. And the movie was Schindler's List, 1993. Okay. Now we're seeing the movie comes out, makes this humble man, factory owner, exposes, this is a Steven Spielberg movie, I believe. World famous for all of his heroic saving of the Jewish people. Okay, that's got to come out through Uranian themes, Plutonian themes. And we see in 1993 that Pluto is square, transiting Pluto is square to Chiron. Look where the Chiron is. Okay, this is a noon chart. But look where the Pluto is squaring the Chiron. The Chiron is in Aquarius. Okay, so first of all, other people having Pluto hitting their Chiron in Aquarius doesn't necessarily mean they're going to do anything. But he's already got the seed. He's already got this planted in him. It already has been growing in him. And it all comes Pluto, and you can say, you can kind of call a natal chart promise, and transits are when the promise comes due, or when the promise becomes an issue. And then it actually goes on to become a movie. So again, you're seeing it over and over. So many of these people that were unknowns become famous because of a movie that's made about it into the collective. Let's see if we got anybody else left. Okay, Nikola Tesla, the final one. Now, Tesla, I read about him 10 years ago. I would say in the last 10 years, the last 5 years, he's really getting the credit he needs because he was so overshone by Edison. And it's not for him, maybe till later, but we have AC current. Fascinating man, very intense. He has Pluto rising in the first house. You ever see that picture of Tesla? The one where he's looking right through you? There's a reason why. He's a Cancer. He stays to himself a lot, but he also socializes, but he never dates. And one of the amazing things about Tesla, you know what he did on his weekends? On his weekends, he would hole up in his laboratory in New York City and drink with Mark Twain and shock each other. That's what they would do. They would wind these things up and go zzz, and just shock each other and laugh and keep drinking. But he spent a lot of time in his career begging for money from Westinghouse, trying to get money funding. And he got an awful lot of funding, like for the World's Fair and things like that. But after a while, people stopped funding him. So what you saw in the end was Edison was really much his foe. Edison was not only his foe, Edison was very cruel. He would steal, have his minions steal dogs, and he would put on shows for the crowd, Edison, and he would shock the dogs to death using AC. And he would show people, see, this is why you don't want to use Tesla's AC, and forfeit the dogs. It was a terrible thing he did. But you saw who won out in the end. He was very intensely private. And what has caused his chart to bring him to the fore recently? Let's take a look at that. Okay, we're going to take a look at some really interesting things here. In 2013, which is a time I just approximated, that he's becoming more and more famous. This is why you only deal with the slow-moving planets when you're dealing with this kind of thing. 2013. Neptune has just crossed over Aries. Okay? This is in the 11th house, which is a public house. He's having a Neptune return in the past few years. Neptune's at 18 now. So the Neptune return is very strong right now in his chart. That's every 184 years. And then did his 10th harmonic, which is his social status. And I put the planets on the 10th harmonic. And you see that the Saturn return is forming about 2014, 2015, okay, which is about the last 4 or 5 years as Tesla's become more and more popular. We do have a good birth time. He was born in Croatia. We have a noon and actual 11:59 p.m. birth time, so you know someone's watching the clock 1 minute from the next day. So he's having his Saturn return 2014, 2015, but it's taking place at the midheaven. Back to his natal chart. A very powerful chart with Mars, Moon, Jupiter, T-square over to Venus, the third house. So this is the mind, the digging. You can see his sun hangs out right at the nadir on the fourth house. So he stayed to himself. He didn't date people. He had a lot of female friends, but he didn't marry. So anyhow, we can bring this to a close. I wanted to show you example after example of famous people, how your chart lives on, and how we tie back in with the initial statement that you are a statement of the universe, and that statement may not be ready to be digested by the collective until a later time. So with that, we will let go of our YouTubers, and thank you for being with us. Ask you to join us next Thursday at 8.